Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome from me to the very first virtual Scottish social media and marketing show. And many thanks for attending my own session today. It's great to have you along. We've got a fantastic day lined up today and tomorrow. We're 2 full days, so you can dip in and out to please yourself. We've got a fantastic array of speakers over the 2 days. We've got speed networking, and I'm really looking forward to it. We have a virtual stand, so please come and visit me at my virtual stand. Let's get some meetings set up. Just before I start, because we've got a lot to cover today, I want to zoom through it as quickly as I can. There is a facility for you to ask me questions while this presentation is going on. Also get engaged with other people that are on the session today. It's all about engagement. You never know who you're going to meet and where it might lead. That's so true when it comes to networking. I've actually been asked to cover how to look good and act professional on a video call. That will be the main thrust of my presentation today. We've got just over 20 minutes, so I'll be keeping my eye on the time. The emphasis will be on that, but towards the end, I'm going to cover a little bit about general networking online as well. I have got a special online networking training session coming up, a 1-hour laser-focused whistle-stop tour of virtual networking, the 5 stages to networking success, but I'll cover that later. So let's crack on and start at the beginning. Let's start with tip number 1 of 10, and number 1 is check the tech. Now, whatever online platform you're using, I'm going to more concentrate on Zoom today because everybody is probably on Zoom. You've really got no choice because most of the organisers are using Zoom for their events, including ourselves. We do lots and lots of events all over the country. I have used other platforms as well, but whichever one you are using, please become familiar with the settings and the technical aspects of that particular platform. I made the fatal mistake of just downloading a few platforms, booking into meetings, and then had all sorts of problems. I wasn't prepared. So just look at how it works, do test runs. You can do test runs on things. But one of the most important things is that please have the links to the meetings readily available and not having to be searching for them before you go to the meetings in case there's problems. So, take time out to check the camera, the video settings, the volume settings, and the Wi-Fi. Obviously, we're at the mercy of Wi-Fi, and that can be helped. But it is really important that, as I say, check out the tech, which is a really good place to start. Number 2 is get the lighting right. Now, generally speaking, the most flattering and best light will be from a window that you're sitting in front of. But a warning, please don't sit in front of the window when there's direct sunlight coming straight in. It will distort everything, it'll just be too bright. It's amazing how light affects your actual online light on the actual screen from the sides, from the top. But be very careful when you're sitting in front of direct sunlight. The worst place to be positioned is with the window behind you. It causes a big backlight. You've probably seen it. People sitting, they're in darkness more or less in a light room. It's just the way the light works. So I know a lot of us are still working from home. Take your laptop or your phone, move it around the house, see where the best lighting is coming from to get the best picture. You can actually use additional lighting as well if you so wish, like table lamps and things. So just be very careful about the lighting. Number 3 is find your most flattering camera angle. This is a favourite of mine because I still do it wrong. Look, I can guarantee you all the 10 tips today I've not done. I've done it wrong. I've learned the hard way. Believe me, I have learned the hard way. I learned the hard way when I started face-to-face networking 20 odd years ago, and I've learned the hard way I mean, I actually adopted online and virtual meetings, networking, organising events, training very early. I was on it at the beginning of April, so I've had a lot of experience, but I have learned the hard way. Some of you might be new. I mean, there's still people joining my meetings that it's their first Zoom meeting or the first networking meeting. So everybody's at a different level, been on it for longer. One thing I would say actually is, when you think about it, a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's all new, this online networking. Well, actually it's not, because I've been online networking since 2004, when I joined LinkedIn. Think about it. We've been online networking for a lot longer than you think. What's new is more the actual events. The actual networking we've been doing for a lot longer. The events probably is new to us, and I'm still learning yet. But in terms of your camera angle, one of the top tips is, now this depends where the camera is on your device. My one is up the top here, but I always endeavour to look straight at the camera and don't get distracted. If you're looking upwards, it keeps the chin up and it keeps your eyes open as well, which is always a good thing. The worst camera angle is from down below. You've seen it, you know, you're looking at somebody's forehead. They're way down low. I tend to just be back a little bit, just a bit like this, but so that you're at arm's length so you can work your keyboard. So just watch how close or otherwise. Please don't get too close. It sometimes distorts the face if you get too close. It's entirely up to you. It's what you're comfortable with, okay? But just think of yourself and all these boxes on the screen. How is it going to look? And obviously, if you're one-to-one meetings, you've got bigger screens. But be very careful of that. So look straight at the camera when you're talking. That's particularly relevant when you're doing your networking meetings and you're doing your pitch, if you like. We tend to do it, look, I still do it. You're looking around all the boxes to see how people are reacting to my 30 seconds, my 60 seconds, you know, however long it is. Just try and stay focused, folks. I know it can be difficult, and actually it's quite tiring because it takes a lot of concentration online now. I've found that it can, I don't know if some of you have found it can get quite tiring, so I always have some water handy. So camera angles, yeah, just be very aware of that. And of course you can test it out. You know, I test out all my stuff, what my screen is looking like before I go on. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, and this is very topical just now, consider your background. It's on TV now, all the interviews, it's, oh, another bookcase. What books are they reading? It's very topical. Or what mugs have they got on their bookcase? If you're not interested in showcasing your bookcase or your room, you can, of course, use virtual backgrounds. Now, Zoom do their own virtual backgrounds. They are fairly limited. You can sometimes, have you ever seen anybody disappearing into their Zoom virtual? It does happen quite a lot. It is quite funny, actually. It was actually quite scary the first time I saw it. Oh, where's it disappeared to? But there are other websites like Shutterstock, where you've got a lot more variety. And also there are companies that actually do, you know, tailor-made for your business and all your logos and stuff as well. So, but please, you know, be professional. Keep your, if you've not got a virtual background, keep your place neat, tidy, clean. As you can probably see, I use my pop-up banners, and you're probably all looking at my banners now. A lot of people do use them, but unfortunately I've got loads of banners from events and things. But I can assure you, they're absolutely brilliant. You do not want to know what's behind my banners here. Believe me, they do hide a lot. They're very handy that way. That's another option for you there. So, how about number 5? We're halfway there. Keep distractions to a minimum. Please put up a do not disturb sign and let everybody in your household know you're on a video call. Now look, I appreciate for a lot of us are at home and it's, you know, really different times than what we're normally used to. You're going to get noise in the background. You're going to get kids coming in, perhaps, pets. You know, there's going to be deliveries, phones going off, all sorts of stuff. Look, it can happen. And I'll tell you, just talking about noise, I'm amazed at how far noise travels from outside and how it amplifies itself on your actual meetings. It's quite incredible, actually. But do try and, you know, lessen these distractions. I have actually invested in a noise cancellation audio, but I'll talk about that towards the end. Okay, number 6 is pay attention. Yeah, this one's a difficult one for me because I'm sometimes all over the place. But don't be opening up browsers, everyone, on your computer while you're on a meeting, checking your emails. Who does that? How about looking down at your phone, eating your breakfast, eating your lunch, eating your dinner if it's an evening event? You know, please respect our other attendees at the meetings. And here's a very important thing, because when you're doing that, you're distracted, and the person that's speaking might say a really important thing that could be very appropriate for you, and you're going to miss it. So respect others and don't miss things. I'm often asked about, you know, water besides your tea and coffee. Perfectly fine. You know, I have my water here today. I'm going to have a little sip now. Water's fine. If you've got to, you know, to leave the meeting, sometimes we genuinely have to leave the meeting for a minute, a couple of minutes, or whatever it is. You know, remember and switch off your audio, switch off your video, and then just switch them on when you come back. But you know, as to be genuine, don't be getting up and down and, you know, turning things off for no reason at all, other than if it's a genuine reason you need to leave. Number 7 is how you look and act. Now, I'm always mindful that people are looking at your face. You know, we're all on the screen there, so your face is very prominent. So always be aware of this. And I'm the world's worst. You know, touching my ears, my nose, my mouth, my hair, whatever. It can be very distracting. And always, you know, maintain good posture. And I come to the kind of negative bit now, if you like. Who have you seen that's kind of slumping in their chair? You know, they're looking glum. You know, a scowl on their face. You can tell right away, can't you, that they just don't want to be there. They want to be somewhere else. I mean, that person just isn't engaging. They're really no interested. They're passionate. Do you really want to engage with that person? Probably not. So please don't be that person. Number 8, and we're zooming through these now. Oh, excuse the pun. I just realised what I said there. I'm often asked about how you dress, and dress code, if you like, online. Now, obviously, they're just seeing the top part of you, but in general terms, this is for face-to-face and virtual. I would say that we are a bit more casual now online, and that's perfectly fine. You dress any way you want to. It's what you're comfortable with. What you really need to be aware of is it's the perception of others and how they see you. And you can't control that. Rightly or wrongly, it's how they see you. So generally speaking, be smart casual. I would say that probably you should be, if I was being honest, you should be reflecting actually yourself, your business, your organisation and your brand. That's all you need to be doing. There's no right or wrong, but just 1 or 2 things to be aware of. Dress for success, as they say. Number 9 is Zoom chat facility. Now, this is a couple of techie things to finish off with, 9 and 10. The chat facility is excellent. It's really, really good for putting your details in and things. What I would say, don't get too salesy, everyone. You're just putting your details in there. Who's seen a chat? The person says, I'm so-and-so, and it's a huge sales splurge. Who's seen it? Don't go overboard with don't be too salesy, it just puts people off. I just put something simple like, happy to start a conversation for those of you who don't know me. Listen, at the end of the day, folks, they're either going to be interested or they're not. It's not just quite as black and white as that, but sometimes big sales splurges and attached documents and everything just puts people off. Just a little tip as well, once you've done, this is for when you're at networking events and doing your pitch, if you like, have your details that you're putting in the chat box, copy and paste them, and just be ready to put them in. Just say at the end of your pitch, details in the chat, you know, happy to have a one-to-one with you or start a conversation, basically. And finally, number 10, this is for Zoom, check your video settings. There's a lot in there, a lot of you probably have and you're aware of this, but you can do great things with your video settings, actually. You can enable things, you can enable HD, you can even, there is even a touch up your appearance button there that you can enable if you're so inclined. And a good one for me, particularly as I'm an event organizer, you can enable up to 49 participants. Now, not all devices have this. There's not too many devices have this. If it's there, it's there. Enable it. It saves you looking at split screens if it's if it's over 30, 40 people. It's really handy for me. So that's top 10. I've got a fact sheet on this. Come and see me after the meeting or get in touch with me and I'm happy to send that out. I am holding, as I think I said earlier, a light bite, as I call it, short bite, laser focused virtual online networking. It does cover a little bit about Zoom, but it's more emphasis on the process of networking, 5 stages to networking success. But follow up with me on that. I've got probably about 5 minutes left, just slightly under. I just want to cover something now that a lot of people ask me about. This is general networking now, but with an emphasis online. I want to cover a couple of things. One is following up after your meetings, the networking term, following up, where you've had a chat with people and you may want to continue the discussions if you like. It's the same for both face-to-face, when we eventually get back there, and online. The number of people that either don't follow up or follow up badly. And it happens, at face-to-face, it was, you would go away home with a pile of business cards with great intentions to follow up, and then stuff happens. The phone rang, an email came in, stuff. Now, of course, it could be domestic stuff at home, if we're working from home. My top tip is, please treat it seriously. Prioritise it. I don't care how busy you are, okay? Do it within 24 hours. In fact, you can do it a lot quicker now that we're online. I'm getting emails an hour, a couple of hours after. But people still, people admit to me, they say, Colin, I saved all my stuff in the chat to do my follow-ups, and I never looked at the chat again, or I forgot to save the chat or whatever. And you've just wasted all that time at a meeting because you've not taken action. Because the really productive part of the networking process is a follow-up where you have in-depth discussions about building relationships with people that were just a stranger a meeting ago. It's building effective long-term relationships and having in-depth discussions. Now, they're not all going to be long-term relationships, but please follow up within 24 hours, okay? And finally, before I finish, I want to just, I briefly mentioned long-term relationships there. I firmly believe that networking at its core is about the mutual support that a network, or I call it a community of people, can offer each other, really. There's networking, which is the whole process of from starting off to preparing for meetings to following up to building network. And a network is entirely different from networking. People get a wee bit confused here. It's actually, I call it a community. I mean, a network's built on strong, lasting relationships. It's mutual respect, trust. I mean, individuals within your network or your community can share their experience, their expertise, contacts, ideas, feedback for those that need them. And once it's in place, it's in place. It can take a lot of time. You know, the great thing is that when you think about it, each participant, they've got a wealth of resources there. And, you know, whatever their career prospects, you know, business objectives, so everybody can achieve beyond their individual potential, if that's a good way of putting it, if that makes sense. So very, very important. And it's important to remember that networking events and groups only facilitate that. They only serve to fuel the building of the network. So that's me. That's been a whistle-stop tour. It's gone very, very quickly, but it's been a pleasure having you. As I say, if I didn't get to answer any of your questions, there's probably a few questions, please come and see me after. I've got my virtual exhibition. The show is fantastic. We've got a full 2 days. And, you know, let's get engaged. There's lots of networking as well. I really appreciate your time. I hope you found that useful. Let's continue the conversation. As I say, we've got 2 days to do it. So thank you very much for attending today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show and equally enjoy the rest of today. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye for now.